Orlando. I'm actually showing some images that I call demolition and debris. And I was in New Orleans doing a film, and they were tearing down a building. And I, as a fan of architecture and as a photographer, I ended up taking these photos that later turned out to be very iconic because they're photos taking of a Woolworths that in 1960 they said it was the first location for the segregation sit-ins at the lunch counters. And these are the images, and I'm really proud and humbled that I had an opportunity to take those photos. I tend to think that when I take a photo, it was 6 o'clock when I took that photo on December 2nd. So I feel like I'm capturing time, and I'll always have that. And I can always share that moment that, you know, is gone, but now I have it. Again, I've always had a liking of just images in general, and you know, I'm also a filmmaker. And growing up, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania originally, and I always used to see the news and see all the bad stuff on the news. And I always wanted to be that person that, as a photographer and as a filmmaker, that I can show some positive stories and some positive images.
My work is mixed media collage. It's a combination of vintage photography, found materials, and I work digitally as well. The piece right here that's behind me is titled RD's Back Room, and it's about a neighborhood I grew up in back home in Arkansas. But I have another piece over here that's titled When William Slim Tucker Discovered the Crossroads, and I don't know, I've used Robert Johnson as a muse in a lot of my work. Robert Johnson was a famous blues musician from the 20s and 30s, and the folklore of the legend is that he supposedly sold his soul to be the baddest guitar player ever. And the reason, you know, I use Robert Johnson or the story of Robert Johnson and the Crossroads in my work is because I think as a creative, you know, we all come to, there are no guarantees in this life, particularly as being an artist. You know, I mean, artists, we put ourselves before the masses, and it's up for public criticism. We invest a lot of time, energy, effort, and resources into doing what we do. And just like Robert Johnson, who decided to leave everything that was familiar to him to pursue his passion of being a musician, I so do the same thing as it relates to my art.
I mean, my artwork is basically ever-changing. It's a lifelong thing, so I go through my periods in different styles and whatnot. Lately, I mean, in the last maybe 7 years, I've been doing this style of work that you see back here, where it's a mix of indigenous cultures or blending cultures, really, where I get bits and pieces of all kinds of different cultures from around the world, from Polynesian, Mayan, African, Japanese, and just kind of make my own language with it. Spirituality, the unseen is what inspires me to do this kind of work. It's, I guess I have an inherent need to discover you know, the unknown. It's called the Tree of Life, manifesting beauty in the form of a swan. And I mean, I like to work large, and by working large, I'm able to put a lot more detail, a lot more, you know, characteristics and stuff that the viewer can look at. But I feel it's a powerful piece showing a female form, which the female form is probably one of the most popular forms and beautiful things that you can see in art. And it's basically doing that and mixing it into the Tree of Life and showing that creative beauty and using a lot of the techniques and effects that I do in a lot of my work all in one.
I'm inspired by personal, like my personal experiences, also travel and relationships with people and culture. This one right here behind me is my favorite piece, and it's called You Stop My Heart, and it is about how a person makes you feel, someone that you have feelings for makes you feel, and she has a flower, and it's like, does he love me, love me not? So it's kind of like that thought process. And her little bunnies are like her friends, you know, like comforting her, so she kind of doesn't know what to think right now. So I think it's really nice. I like this place a lot. I have friends from Miami also that are here showing their artwork, so I really like it. It's a really happy community, so I love it.
This is my exhibit. It's called Transitioning Worlds. I do kind of contemporary urban surrealism style of art. I'm very colorful. everyday life, from beautiful skies to nature to like beautiful trees to like people's failures, people's accomplishments, lessons in life, and inspiring deep moments that people live, failures, struggles, and successes. So I just did a piece called No Mind, which is over there. Maybe you could get a little film of it later. It's my newest piece. I created it for the show, and it's actually a surreal transition of mind. So it starts out like from a purple river, and the purple river turns into a shiny ocean, and then a shiny desert. And then the desert transitions into the sky, which is an ocean sky. It's like water and sky. And it has a face with no eyes. It's cut off by the eyes. And inside of the head is a maze. So I'm illustrating how intricate the human being is and how beautiful it is. And I have no eyes in the painting because it's all about feeling.
I'm from New York. That's what started a lot of my artwork. It's an inspiration to all my pieces. So that's why I focused on Statue of Liberty. And it takes me, everywhere in my imagination because Statue of Liberty, it's like my home, it's liberty. And when I see this piece, I always think of the dichotomy between, what was and what is, and how, how life is and how liberty's been taken away and how liberty is still living. That's why I got Liberty Lives and Liberty is Dead. So you could see it in both sides of the coin sometimes. So
it's it's a particular thing, I would say, but what's art? I don't know. I mean, I can't really answer that. I know what speaks to me and what's art for me.
The way I connect to art or I live my art, I believe it's just like a free expression of your inner self, of your soul,
Well, art imitates life, life imitates art. I'm a very creative person. Everything I do is it's constantly working in my brain and eventually will come out through my hands and become art.
I define art as any way that is your craft, that you're good at, that you express yourself and you love. That's how I define art. Like you cooking, art, obviously, painting, babysitting. Anything can be an art as long as you break it down and you're a master of it, or whatever you're good at. That's how I define as art.